Good morning. Welcome to the Morning After Show. That's Ryan Hensley. I'm Grant Cohn. Niners have won 9 straight, but more importantly, I'm well rested. I flew home after the game. I got 9 hours of sleep. I feel great. Most of the time I do this show with Ryan after away games, and I haven't slept at all. And I don't even feel like I should be held accountable for the things that I say because I don't even remember them like 2 hours later. So I am fully locked in, and I'm going to say smart things today for a change. Ryan, as always, is locked in. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing good, man. A little chilly where I'm at right now, but I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's a little chilly here. Apparently there was like a flood in the Bay Area this weekend. I don't know. I was in Vegas. So sorry for everyone that went through that, but I saw the videos looked like New Orleans 15 years ago.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends in Vallejo, and I saw a lot of flooded streets in Vallejo. People riding canoes through the streets. So.
Yeah, dude, videos are like geysers coming out of manholes. Like, whoa. Anyway, I hope they figured that out. Let's talk about sports. In particular, Brock Purdy, who still has never lost and is just the most remarkable story. But this was the most adversity he's faced. He was losing. He threw a pick. He had to bring the team back twice. Robbie Gould missed the kick. Had to do it in overtime. What are you thinking of Brock Purdy now?
I really like Brock Purdy. I don't see, honestly, everything I see from him, I like. With one exception, I'll leave towards the end here. But my assessment of Brock Purdy, man, is he is a really damn good quarterback. And the big achievement to me, we see a lot of, Kyle Shanahan's having a hell of a season as a coach. And we constantly see, look at Kyle Shanahan winning with a 7th round pick. And that's great, obviously. But I think the real achievement was drafting Brock Purdy in the 7th round, more so than winning with Brock Purdy, because the kid is good, man. He does everything you want. He actually, there's slight things that reminds me of Jimmy, like his accuracy and the way he gets the ball out quick. But outside of that, man, like he's way more mobile, way more smart, way more poised. He has pretty much everything. Like there's not much I see from him that I don't like, with the only exception being the arm strength. We saw a little bit of that with the interception. So that's the only question I have about Brock Purdy. But honestly, based on what I'm seeing, I think he's good enough with this team to win a Super Bowl. I feel confident in saying that he is good enough to win a Super Bowl with this team. Now, whether or not that arm strength becomes an issue or not, I don't know. Maybe it isn't an issue. But we did see a little bit of it yesterday with that one interception. But overall, he's better than Jimmy. To me, he's an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, that was clear right away. I mean, I thought that was clear in the Miami game. And now I'm starting to, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I definitely think there's a possibility that he's the Niners franchise quarterback. I still want to see more. I mean, we're 5 starts in. I'd like to see this for another 20-something starts. But, man, if he keeps playing like this, he's going to be the starter next year. And if he keeps playing like this next year, he's the guy. Because – yeah, he's kind of small, and his arm isn't as strong as you would like, and you saw it on that interception. But other than that, like, what does he not have that you hope Trey Lance would have? Like, Trey Lance is big and fast. Purdy might be quicker. Purdy might be more elusive in the pocket. The way he gets away from people in the pocket is shocking to me. Like, Mac Jones can do. A lot of quarterbacks are not as quick and elusive as Brock Purdy. I didn't see that coming at all. So he doesn't give you the 11-on-11 run game element, but I don't think that's super important anyway. I mean, it's not something that the Niners have relied on. And he's enhancing the run game by being a play-action threat. Yeah. Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't enhance the run game at all. No 11-on-11 aspect and no play action. Now this guy, he'll burn you deep, and so Christian McCaffrey's yards per carry has jumped by like a full yard since Jimmy was the quarterback. So I think he's pretty much – I mean, the offense, even on a quote-unquote bad day from Brock Purdy, they scored 37. Mm-hmm. So what is he not giving? Are you saying with Trey Lance they're going to start scoring 40 a game? Like, no offense to Trey Lance, but damn, like the one thing with Brock Purdy that I think is so impressive is his, like, awareness on the field. Just not the poise and all that, but just the ability to see everything and not just go where Kyle tells him to go and see things on the backside of the play. That's the kind of thing I think that maybe is God-given or comes with tons of experience. I wonder how many years it would take Trey Lance to get to that level that Brock's right now, just in terms of straight-up awareness on the field. And that's not Trey's fault. He really man, the Niners mismanaged him, and I hope they didn't ruin his career. But, dude, I just don't see how Trey can catch that one aspect of Brock's skill set.
It's going to be tough.
He's like a 99 Madden awareness.
Yeah. If you're building like physically, if you're building a quarterback, you're building Trey Lance, like if you're on Madden, right?
Yes.
But everything else, you're building Brock Purdy. It'd be nice if somehow Brock Purdy had Trey Lance's arm strength. You're talking about one of the best quarterbacks ever lived, based on what I'm seeing from Brock Purdy. He really does everything at a high level. I'm not done on Trey Lance. I think he's just so talented that I'm interested to see what he can develop into. I'm personally not a big fan of a running quarterback.
Me too.
I don't really like that. I like quarterbacks kind of like what we're seeing from Brock, where they're elusive and they can scramble and create, but not running,
Because they get hurt, with the exception of Josh Allen. Although he's probably going to get hurt eventually too. Look at Jalen Hurts. Yeah. So when the Niners drafted Trey Lance, I thought they were envisioning like John Elway. And he might end up becoming that kind of a quarterback. But right now with Brock Purdy, he's looking like Joe Montana, the other great quarterback in the 80s. And what's so cool about Purdy is that final drive when he kept hitting Ayuk on the slants. Did that not feel like Montana to Rice, Montana to Taylor? Just the accuracy and the timing of those throws. I mean, that's 49ers football. And it's extremely impressive watching him play. His timing and awareness he's so calm. Like, Garcia was not this calm. Garcia was frenetic. Steve Young was frenetic. Joe was calm like this. And I'm not saying that this guy's better than Steve and Garcia, but this quality of him is refreshing and is rare. It's not like all quarterbacks develop this over time. Like, it's rare. And it's something, again, that you can only see in a real game. You can't see it in practice. Maybe you can see it in college, but you don't know if it's going to translate. And it's translating for Brock.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people use that argument that I just mentioned, where they say, and it's not a knock on Kyle when I say this, but people say, look at what Kyle's able to win with the third string quarterback. Like, I don't really care if he started off the season third string because he was a rookie. The kid is super talented. So the real achievement is drafting Brock Purdy, and then especially getting him in the 7th round, because he has literally everything. I mean, I could maybe see why guys put him in the 7th because of his height and his arm strength. But he's definitely playing way above that. So, shout out to, I think, people are making the argument for Kyle Shanahan to be coach of the year, which is valid, and I understand, but really
by John Lynch,
executive of the year, for building this team, finding Brock Purdy, the CMC trade. It's all been fantastic.
And I think we're learning something interesting about drafting quarterbacks. Like Purdy having success. People want to replicate Josh Allen. So the Niners went after Trey Lance, and so far he hasn't been Josh Allen, and they haven't developed him correctly. But what you're seeing is, like, look, Tom Brady's 45 years old, still playing. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, having a lot of success. Well, what do they have in common? A lot of experience. Not necessarily the most physically gifted guys. I mean, they're not athletes. Well, Brock is. But a lot of experience. Well, maybe that's because the way the NFL is set up, all the rules benefit the quarterbacks. And if you have a little bit of experience and you know what you're doing, you can really take advantage of this league. And, maybe that's reason not to sort of invest highly in projects. That's the thing with Trey. With his background, especially coming off the pandemic, dude, that's a 2nd-round pick resume. Even if he's a great athlete. Like, you played 1 year. And you see with, like, Malik Willis, he went in the 3rd round. Jalen Hurts went in the 2nd round. I'm just saying, maybe the projects, if you need to, like, really put the dude on the bench for a while, take him later. Guys that are ready to go, it seems like they actually are. If you put a good team around them, they can have success immediately, and they can play until they're 45.
Yeah, again, and I'm highly interested in what Trey becomes, but I didn't expect them to use him the way they did. And if that's the way they were going to use him, if there's one knock on John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan is trading 3 first-round draft picks for a project that you're going to try to use like Justin Fields when he's not.
Exactly. It's like you drafted Trey Lance to use him like Justin Fields when you could have just drafted Justin Fields. I didn't understand that one.
Yeah. And again, man, I've always said I like mobile quarterbacks that are elusive, that can scramble. I never really wanted a running quarterback. And like you said, the NFL has designed everything to protect the quarterback. So
yep.
as a team, you
take advantage of those rules, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why Tom Brady's able to play at 46 because he knows how not to get hurt. He's not running. And so I don't know. I just not a fan of running quarterbacks. I don't think Trey necessarily has to be a running quarterback either.
Right. But it's like you want a mobile quarterback. Purdy's mobile.
Yeah.
Jimmy's not. You need a mobile quarterback. You need a guy who can make defenders, who can make pass rushers miss, who can extend plays. But how often does Purdy run past the line of scrimmage?
Right.
Sometimes.
Not often.
It's not that important. Steve Young did it, but like honestly, if you do it, you need to get out of bounds or get down. Yeah. And what you really need to do is be able to run behind the line of scrimmage. Purdy does that surprisingly well. Like maybe better than Trey. I swear his quickness is his first few steps is quicker than Trey, which is really important for a quarterback. He's surprising defenders with his ability to get away from them, and that's a huge part of the Niners' success. There was that play last night where he got away from the one rusher, scrambled to his right, and hit Kittle on the run.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, who's the last Niners quarterback who could do that? Kaepernick wasn't that elusive. Alex Smith for sure wasn't that elusive. That's a Jeff Garcia play, man. And I loved watching Jeff Garcia. But Jeff Garcia had a frenetic energy about him that this guy doesn't have. This guy is so calm. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Young, is a model for me. But when you think about it, he had, 8 concussions in his career, ended his career early.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy.
He didn't even play that long, if you think about it, right? His 20s, he sat.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And the thing about Brock Purdy is I saw somewhere, I didn't double check to fact check it, but I read that he has taken the least amount of sacks in the time he's been playing out of all quarterbacks. So he's elusive. He's not being sacked. So he's protecting himself, which is huge for his longevity as well.
But he's not one of these guys like Zach Wilson who constantly goes off script and can't operate within the timing and rhythm of the offense. Like he can do that too. On the final drive, it's just boom, slant, boom, slant, boom, slant. And I know people are looking at like Jesse Naylor has shown Brock Purdy's passing chart. He's not really throwing to the right very much. Something to watch, something to monitor. Maybe it's he's not good at it. Maybe it's a small sample size thing. But so far, I'm running out of things to nitpick with this guy, and I feel like, man, the Niners might have just really lucked out here. They may have found their franchise quarterback. And I think what's funny is, Kyle. I've been so hard on Kyle. He may have just needed to find the right quarterback for him, and it's not easy to do. A lot of head coaches never do find the right quarterback. But right now, I mean, if he wanted Mac Jones, this guy's a lot better. So
he's way more likable too.
Way more likable, way more elusive, better athlete, just as good of an arm. Man, they're lucky they didn't take Mac Jones because now they got Brock Purdy. So good for.
Yeah, I mean, if we're nitpicking, the only thing I can think of would be arm strength, and we'll see if that hurts him later on in the season or in the postseason. But other than that, I don't see any weaknesses in his game.
No. No. And again, the little intangibles are so intriguing. Make me feel like he can win a Super Bowl this year. I mean,
I think
the offense is killing it right now. 2.08 says the interception had more to do with him not seeing the defender than arm strength, according to Purdy. I believe him. He could throw it farther than that. Farther as distance.
Kittle did have to come back and stop his route. So, even if he didn't see the defender, he didn't lead Kittle.
I also didn't really like the play call. Like that's a Trey Lance call. A full rollout to the left, throw back to the right. You need a cannon for that. I think there are other ways to get the ball down the field with Brock that don't require that. But that would be my only.
Didn't match the skill set.
That's a Trey Lance play all around. That's a Josh Allen play. Andrew Seabass says, "Hey Grant, first time donate. Keep up the awesome content. Look forward to all your live streams." Thank you, Andrew. That was very nice. Sean, the Raiders exposed kinks in the Niners' defense armor. To what extent do you think DeMeco Ryans will be able to adjust going forward? I haven't seen a lot of adjustments from DeMeco. It seems like his adjustment is when the defensive line dominates, he looks great. When the defensive line doesn't dominate, the defense doesn't look great. So I'm starting to wonder. I think he's going to be right here next year. DeMeco Ryans. No offense, but again, he's only been a coordinator for 2 years, and he just gave up 34 points yesterday to Vegas. So I'm not sure. Good question about DeMeco.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to give him. I mean, they offered him last year. They'll probably probably have at least an interview this year.
I think so. Joseph says Too Short, E40 Snoop made a group called Mount Westmore this year. Yeah. Newer UG guys here are AZ Chike. Yep, he's great. LA rapper with Bay vibes. Yeah, he had one song that I had on my best of 2020 playlist, I want to say. The Boy from Vallejo, of course. He was in SOB, RBE. See, I know all about this. Who was instant classics like Sum It Up and True Colors, Glock P approved. On a Gang by Du Bois, my favorite song from Du Bois. On a Gang. Check that one out. Purdy Me says Trey had to have a career in order for the Niners to ruin it, Grant. Man, people love taking shots at Trey. To me, I think Trey is a bit of a tragic story in the sense that he didn't do anything wrong. The Niners were the team that made the controversial trade up and draft pick. Then they were the ones that made the controversial decision to sit him on the bench. Then they were the ones that made the controversial decision to run him up between the tackles. It feels like they kind of ruined his chance to reach his full potential. But at the same time, he's younger than most of the quarterbacks in the upcoming draft. So I don't know. We'll see.
His story is not over.
I hope it's not.
Yeah, I hope even if it's not with the Niners, he's got a long career ahead.
But he is, or I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but he's in a bit of a catch-22 where he needs experience and he can't get it. And the longer he goes without getting experience, the more he's going to need it and the worse off he's going to be. So I feel bad for him. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. B&K Frank says, should running game be developed before playoffs? It should be maybe expanded, but it's looking pretty good right now. Expanded to other players. Chad News says, so nice to see our quarterback stay calm and not get the happy panic feet when he is getting some pressure, calm as a cucumber. It's been a long time, guys. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's really been. To watch. Jimmy, like the anxiety would, if the first read wasn't there, he's like, what did Kyle say? What did Kyle say?
Yeah.
Wish Kyle would have called these same plays for Trey. Yeah, me too. Me too. My bad, misses the rap window last night. The whole post-game stream turned into the best West Coast rappers of all time. And I had to give my controversial take that Tupac isn't really a West Coast rapper. I don't know what region you would call him because he made all his music out here, but he is from the East Coast. And to me, a West Coast rapper has to sound like someone from the West Coast. Ice Cube, Too Short have the most West Coast voices of all time. Tupac?
I'm going to give him the West Coast nod because of he was probably the leading soldier on all the West Coast, East Coast rivalry, right?
He really was.
Yeah.
He was like a mid-season acquisition by the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? He's like the Christian McCaffrey. Yeah.
The West Coast.
Caesar says it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for Trey next year as the legend of Brock Purdy continues to grow. Why don't we get to it and then we'll finish? It's time to talk about that. We'll get to the rest of our super chats in a minute. Do you think it would benefit Trey Lance to start 2023 as Brock's backup?
You know, I've been thinking about this lately, and I do actually see a benefit in it for him. And the reason why is if Trey somehow wins the competition and is the starting quarterback next year going into the season, the pressure is super high, right? People are going to be expecting the same level of play. If they start off losing, everyone's going to be calling for Brock Purdy. Yeah. It could be disastrous. Whereas if Brock Purdy starts, and there's been 65 different quarterbacks who started in the NFL this year. So the backup quarterback position is extremely important. And it's highly likely that they're going to need to go to a backup quarterback no matter who starts, whether it's Brock or Trey. At some point next year, the backup's probably going to need to come in. So I can see a benefit of Brock starting, being anointed, fan base happy. And then if Trey needs to come in, there's less pressure and he can just be himself, and maybe he can be the savior, kind of like Brock has been this year, as opposed to being that lead guy who a lot of fans might feel is anointed, and you have Brock Purdy standing behind him, people cheering for Brock Purdy at the first sign of a loss or struggle. It could be hard on him. So I could almost see an advantage of him backing up Brock.
Yeah, again, it would be like this last year, but even more intense, because I think the feeling with Trey is that he never earned the job. He was drafted. They spent 3 first-round picks on him, so it was a fait accompli that he was going to be given the job eventually, but he became the starter without doing anything. It was just like, well, he sat on the bench and now he's ready. And it felt like maybe some players in the locker room were like, this isn't right, whether it was or not. I thought it was right, but it was always, it maybe felt a little artificial, and same thing now. I mean, Brock Purdy's on a historic run. He's winning playoff games, essentially. Now he's going to go to the playoffs. I don't see what Trey Lance could do in the offseason that would trump what's going on right now in the season, unless Brock Purdy freaking falls on his face in a couple of weeks in a way that I don't see happening. So, yeah, I don't see how you can just insert Trey into the starting lineup. I don't think the locker room would accept it. I don't think the fan base would accept it. I don't think the coaching staff would want to do it. But if Purdy comes out next year, that there's a book on him, he struggles, he gets hurt, whatever. Now there's no pressure on Trey Lance. He comes in, he's a savior. Everyone loves him. He's everyone's favorite player. I think that's a good call. The other thing, though, is the catch-22 I alluded to with Trey Lance. He needs experience. He's the least experienced NFL quarterback ever, still. And now he's going into year 3 of his career, and there's a possibility that one will be spent on the bench too. At a certain point, that's going to ruin his career, I think, if he can't ever play, because he didn't even play that much in college either. And if he turns out to be a bust, you could point to this. Well, he's a guy who needed experience, who didn't get experience. And you got to blame the team. Now, it didn't hurt the team because they found their guy anyway in Brock Purdy, but it really hurt Trey. And I'm afraid that, if this were another sport, he could go to the G League or the minor leagues and get reps. But in football, you can't. The only reps you get are in practice, and that's not football. It's not. So I'm a little concerned for Trey here. Guy needs ID to get ID, can't get ID.
Yeah.
It's not going to work,
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it, man. It's definitely possible. Like, if Brock Purdy goes into the playoffs and loses the game, like he's the reason that they lost. Like those 2 interceptions at the wrong time or something like that. I can see Trey Lance coming out as the starter, and that's still a possibility. Right now, to me, it's feeling like more like if Brock Purdy continues at this pace and has the same performances that he's having now in the postseason, that is probably going to be Brock's team to start next year. But again, 65 different quarterbacks have started or played in the NFL this year. And there's going to be another opportunity for Trey Lance. And that's why it's so important to have a good backup quarterback, and why it's so important to have both of these guys on the team next year, especially for as cheap as they're going to be.
Also, look at Jarrett Stidham yesterday. He's been developing on the bench for 4 years. 4. Hasn't played with the same coach. All of a sudden gets an opportunity. Looks good. Looks like he's been playing. So, let's not write off Trey Lance. Maybe the Niners can develop him on the bench. The Packers developed Aaron Rodgers on the bench. The Niners developed Steve Young on the bench. It's been done. He's very young. He could be way better next year just off of practice. But what I do think is interesting is in the upcoming draft for the years, quarterbacks have been drafted based on upside. Who could be the best based off of whatever you think they have going for them? Mm-hmm. Experience has always been kind of like a bad thing. Like, he stayed in school. He's a senior. He's a 5th-year senior. Is that going to flip? All of a sudden, are people going to be like, this guy's 24 years old. He's been playing a lot. His upside isn't that much, but he could play right now. This other guy over here, great athlete, but I don't know if we're going to be able to. Is this all going to flip? It might. I don't know.
Well, I think what you see is what you get what you see with those guys, right? You kind of know where they're at right now almost, right? Brock Purdy is probably pretty close to his ceiling as far as how far he can improve. He might improve a little bit with more reps in the NFL, but I think he's probably at like 80% of his ceiling, whereas Trey Lance is probably like 50-60% of his ceiling.
If that.
If that, right? Yeah. But something to keep in mind too, with Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, a lot of the stuff that Brock Purdy has, it's possible, it's not guaranteed, but it's possible those things can be learned with experience. Whereas the things that Trey Lance has, that's just natural born talent that you can't really learn with experience. So we can't say that Trey Lance can't develop the things that Brock Purdy has with more time and experience, but we can definitely say Brock Purdy's never going to be taller, strong, like an athlete like Trey Lance. So, it's interesting, man. Gotta love the 49ers constantly creating just great, amazing content to follow. So,
but again, it's the catch-22 for Trey. Like, he just needs experience. How's he get it? How does he get it? Now Brock's in his way. And these practices, it's something. It's not nothing, but it's not 100% what he needs. So he's a very interesting case. I hope the Niners can figure out a way to get him some experience, because that's 100% what he needs, and he just might be great. He might be way better than Brock if he gets it. But how many years of experience is he behind Brock? How many years would it take Trey Lance playing full seasons to him to get to the point where he had the same level of confidence, awareness, and field vision and poise that Brock has right now? Maybe 1, maybe 7. I have no idea. Neither do the Niners.
My gut tells me 3. He probably needs about 3 years, to get to that level of confidence and experience. But who knows if that's accurate.
And here's one more thing too. Some people are like, hey, the Niners should trade Trey Lance. They can't. If they were to trade him this offseason, they would have $11 million. His cap number is 9.3 next year. If they trade him, they'd have $11 million in dead money, and they would create $1.7 million in cap savings. He's here. You're not getting cheaper at the quarterback spot. He's here.
Yeah, and I'm glad he's here. I think it would be an absolute mistake to trade Trey Lance. Unless you get like 3 first-rounders or something, then you got, okay, fine, let's do that. But no one's going to.
You won't get 3 first-rounders, and you won't save any money. So it would be the stupidest thing of all time to trade Trey Lance. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, but at the same time, from Trey's perspective, that might be like, damn, man, like I'm gonna be on the bench again next year. I can't request a trade, not that he would, but like, man, I'm never gonna play football ever again. God, what did I do? Why me? I wonder.
Well, again, man, I keep going back to this: quarterbacks get injured. I definitely would. I would be highly surprised if Brock Purdy plays 17 games next year if he was the starter. So I think Trey Lance is going to get his opportunity. And who knows, man? Maybe Trey Lance balls out this offseason. Maybe Brock Purdy falls off this postseason. So it's still a lot to be determined. But I don't think we've heard the last from Trey Lance, even on the 49ers. I think he's going to get some games.
I agree. I think what we're seeing in the NFL is you need 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You need either 2 quarterbacks or a really good backup. Look at Philly right now. They thought Gardner Minshew was good. They're falling apart.
Look at everybody. Look at freaking Baltimore. Look at, everybody's damn near every team has had a need to put in a backup outside of maybe the Bucks. Who else? Is
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, Kansas City, Buffalo. But really, if you don't have that, like you probably need 2. And the Niners have 2, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Purdy Me says best quarterbacks are elusive and stay behind the line of scrimmage and look to pass. The running quarterbacks never win Super Bowls. Thought Trey was elusive, but he's more a runner without elite athleticism or accuracy. Bad combo. I don't know what the hell Trey Lance is.
I think he's a really good athlete.
What I like about Trey is he may not be as quick as Purdy because he's bigger, but he's so strong. He was like Roethlisberger. He could break tackles in the backfield. I still like Trey Lance. I just feel bad for him that he can't get the experience that he needs. Mm-hmm. And I feel good for the Niners that they have Brock freaking Purdy out of nowhere. Spider Rico says, where's Trey at mentally now? He has said he can't run against D like he did in FCS, broken bones in hand, 21 broken ankle. Will he mentally be able to use running ability going forward? I guess. I can't answer that question. But it's a good question.
I'm hoping Kyle Shanahan doesn't try to use him the same way. That's my hope.
Yeah. Maybe it's more scar tissue mentally for Kyle. Like, hey, use him like you put him into the Brock Purdy offense, and that's what Trey Lance is going to have to improve the timing and rhythm of those throws, like the slant throws. Brock can do it, and Brock can get the ball downfield well enough. Trey might be able to get the ball downfield better, but you also have to hit those timing throws as well. So that's where he needs to improve. That's the game for Trey. That his career depends on it. I think he can do it. Among all the NFC quarterbacks in the playoffs, Brock's football IQ has to be ranked high behind to Brady. Yeah, his awareness, his IQ, all those intangibles are 97. Would Trey have been there at 12?
I don't know. I think wasn't Atlanta going to get Trey Lance?
Maybe.
That's what I heard.
don't know.
I remember hearing that last when they drafted him. Yeah.
Do you think Jimmy would have won this game? No, I don't. I don't think Jimmy would have put up 37 points in this game without Debo. I don't. Mm-hmm. So that's another game. This is the Brock effect, in my opinion. Ezio says, I don't fault D'Amico. Quarterbacks that don't have much tape can come out of nowhere and have a good game. I think is that it was a combo of that in NYE and in Las Vegas. No, that's fair. To me, what I saw was D'Amico came out conservative because he didn't really know what to expect from Jarrett Stidham. But then, but adjust at halftime. You see it. You've seen what he's doing. He's moving more. He's scrambling. He's doing play action. Adjust. And if he did, there wasn't necessarily an effective solution.
Yeah, the thing that wears me a little bit, and I guess we'll talk more about it, but when you bootleg play action, it kind of freezes Bosa and takes him out of the picture. And when you do that, now the DB's got to hang with these receivers for a lot longer. And I think we'll talk about it more, but that is my concern with this team.
Did you see that one play where Bosa was completely unblocked and he was so confused? He had a free shot at Stidham and he just stopped. instead of like made a throw down the field. I think it was incomplete, but I think Bosa thought it was a screen or something. Like he was a little confused in that game. He straight up stopped like the Madden controller broke or something, you know?
I didn't see that. I'm gonna check for that.
2.08 says I agree. It was a bad throw. Just saying it was Rye. Just it was a bad throw. Just saying it was probably bad because he thought he was wide open, trying to be safe instead of not be able to get it there. That's what he said. He's basically said, I thought he was wide open. I just wanted to lay it up. He wasn't, so I needed to lead him. So we'll see. Ed, thank you. 24 Jaden says Grant been watching since 2019 film reviews. Hey, OG, thank you very much. Thomas Fox says, Grant, no one showed love to Jacka and the Mob figures in your post last night. Area Purdy's the truth. I love Jack and the Mob figures. I wanted to bring them up. What's nice about them is they have this like melancholy gangster thing that is very their own thing. You know, in the Bay, there's a lot of like hyphy party music, and the Jacka was not like that at all. It's like he knew. Well, he ended up getting shot and killed. So going back and listening to his stuff is always kind of very haunting. But I have a Jacka playlist with at least 70 songs. I love the Jacka. I like his little sing-songy flow. It's a little bit like Mac Dre, a little bit like Slick Rick, but again, there's something very scary about him. He was the real
guys.
deal.
There's two guys I want to give a shout out to. One is Mac Mall that was not brought into the equation. One of my favorites.
Love Mac Mall.
From that time period.
Love Mac
and the other one is, you may or may not know him. You're from Oakland, but he was my partner. We used to do music together back in '99. Is Beta Weeda. He's from East.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah.
Beta Weeda's your boy?
Yeah.
I love Beta Weeda.
Yeah. If people sleep on him, he's big time, man. I love Beta Weeda's my boy. I had like 4 songs with him.
Are you serious? You made music?
Yeah, that's what I was doing before.
Can you please forward this to me? Can I hear your songs with Beta Weeda?
It's from
I'm
99.
a fan.
It's from '99. It's on ADAT, like these big reels. But
I'm pretty sure there's a tweet I put out a few years ago saying that I'm the Beta Weeda of Bay Area sports journalism. You can look that up.
Yeah. So
I'm a big fan.
We went to music recording school in San Francisco, and he was my lab partner, and we just became friends and did a bunch of music together. Yeah.
Man, I'm a huge fan now. Now I'm starstruck by Ryan. That's tight. That's so tight. Great. It's a good chance we get the 1 seed. Eagles might just lose to the Giants. We really easily beaten this Cardinals. The one thing is the Giants have nothing to gain. They're the 6th seed. They can't move up. They can't move down. So they might sit all their starters. They might not. I don't know. There's a possibility the Giants will just lose that game. Not sure. Start Timothy Glander says start Purdy. Dev Trey. Give him some series at the end of the games. Develop Trey. Trey is young. There is time. I'll be happy as long as they actually try to develop him. Yeah. There should be a plan. They got to have a plan to develop Trey. Yeah. TL and Purdy can be sitting next year. Brady is coming. Brady's starting to turn it up. Hey, don't write it. Look, it's a great story. They've won 9 in a row. Ultimately, Brock, Kyle, D'Amico, all these guys are going to be judged based off what they do in the playoffs. So we're having a great time covering the regular season, but that's a fact. If they lose in the first round, no one's going to be talking about, man, Kyle is the greatest coach. Brock is that's going to be code blue if they lose. I'm not saying they will, but it's all dependent on what happens in the playoffs. You know, it is. Yep. 2.0H has been saying there's something about A-Rod sneaking into the playoffs, playing the Niners who always beat him in the playoffs scares me, especially if the D looks like they did yesterday. Banks, G-Law, injuries huge. Yeah, G-Law.
Banks doesn't worry me as much because of Brindle. Because I think what's his name's going to be good. I can't think of it. Is Brindle or Brunskill? The Aaron Banks injury doesn't scare me as much.
Brunskill's good.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about the Packers because I don't think they have a ton of weapons on offense. And also how many times have we seen Aaron Rodgers and the Packers fly to the West Coast just to get smacked?
Yeah, it's been
except for that one time. I don't know.
Every time.
Donald Johnson says, Grant, please stop with the grown man slander that you're so accustomed to displaying. I'm going to keep doing me. Also, why do white quarterbacks with no resume are called great and black quarterbacks with a lengthy resume still need to prove it? Well, I mean, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, it's racial bias towards black quarterbacks. I got a history of black quarterbacks content video coming out probably next week. So if you want to go to my channel, look for that. I'm doing the whole piece on that. So we Grant and I both acknowledge it and see it.
Best rapper in Sac currently. Man, Sac makes some really violent music. It's the opposite of the Bay. The Bay's like still trying to party, and Sac's like, we will kill you. Mac J. Mac J's pretty hard, but I haven't heard a good song from him in a year or two. But I really like Mac J. He had his friend. Who was his friend? This dude got shot. What was his dude's name?
My favorite Sac rapper is Brother Lynch Hung from back in the
Well,
day.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not on the current stuff, but that's my favorite Sac rapper.
And then there was Sibo, but that's not. Is he from Sac or was he from like Antioch?
He's
Sac. Okay. Sibo's great, and he started the Mob Figures. That was his group, right? Jacka, Hustler, pretty sure. Sibo presents the Mob Figures, pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. What Mozzie? I haven't heard a great song from Mozzie in a while either. Is he in jail? I don't know. I thought I saw someone on Twitter. I don't know. What if BP gets hurt in playoffs? Who starts next year? BP or Trey Lance? Man, what if? That's a real eight level hypothetical. What if he gets hurt in the playoffs? What does he hurt? Did he hurt his knee? I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Edgar says you win Super Bowl if your quarterback plays every regular season game. JG, Tua, Lamar. Who's your quarterback?
JG. Are we talking about Jimmy G?
Man, Lamar. Lamar is the best of these three.
Yeah, I'm going with Lamar.
I'd like to see Lamar in a non-Greg Roman system. David Butler says, why won't DC send an extra rusher? Soft zone defense obviously wasn't working. Shaking my head. Because when you send an extra rusher, you got to play man coverage, and he didn't trust his – did you see what happened to some of these DBs in man coverage? Lenore, Gibson, Hufanga. I mean, the only guy who can cover – the two wards can cover man-to-man. The two wards can cover man-to-man, and even Travarius gave up a touchdown man-to-man. So
did Lenore really get beat that bad, or is he just not making plays on the ball? I feel like he was in the area.
Same thing.
Kind of reminds me.
Same thing.
Kind of reminded me of Ambry Thomas last year. You know how he's always in the right area, just wasn't be able to make a play on the ball.
I mean, that was Chris Culliford back in the day. Like,
yeah,
that's not good enough. You need guys who can make plays on the ball. Sorry, Mosley could. Pava Nate says,
Talo Falava from American Samoa. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Love the content. Regardless what happens this season, QB battles should bring out the best in both 13 and 5 next season. Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Dustin Dag says, for every Brock Purdy, there's 100 Josh Rosens. What do they have in common?
I don't know.
What do they have in common? Poopy Pants, should get that checked out, says, Ayuk said coaches got on Purdy about timing last week. That's crazy if they get on Purdy about ball being on time. Imagine what they thought about Trey. That's a good point. And that's where Trey's going to have to close the gap.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want. Pally says, props to Jimmy for lifting the Niners back up during our dark years, but now he's holding us back. Niner fans got to accept that Trey, Brock are our future. I think most have. I think Brock has won over a lot of the Jimmy fans because he can do everything Jimmy can do. Except the one thing Brock can't do that Jimmy does well, quarterback sneak. Man! Those New England quarterbacks, Stidham was quarterback sneaking the hell out of it last night.
Yeah.
Getting like 2-3 yards.
I haven't seen really good quarterback sneaks from Brock yet for some reason.
Nah.
Yeah.
Kenny 757 says, what's up with Robbie Gould? He used to be clutch, but he's been a little shaky as of late. How can he practice to improve? I don't want to say anything too snarky. I don't know. Maybe he's getting a little old. I don't know. Maybe he's saving his clutchness for the playoffs.
This could be his last year.
To me, it felt like a playoff game last night, and it felt like there were nerves. There was pressure on that field goal, even though it was the Niners didn't need the game, and that was a field goal he would have never normally made, but I feel like that was postseason pressure. So maybe it's a good thing that he felt it a little early. He hasn't had any pressurized kicks all year. Robbie will be fine. I said he wasn't clutch last night on Twitter. He's made a million clutch kicks. Robbie, if you're watching, I love you. You're my favorite person in the world. Anoop says, D'Amico is not there yet with respect to coverage schemes. I never see 6, 7, or 8 back in coverage. DB scheme is predictable and beatable. Yeah, and that's, Corey Unlin, too, the pass game coordinator, DB coach. He could be – well, I don't think D'Amico's – personally, I don't think he's going anywhere yet. Remember, Saleh took 4 years to get out of here. Sam says also Saleh having a little bit of a down second half of this. He was 1-6 his last 7. That's not going to help D'Amico either. Not that they should be connected. Demo was trash covering BT. He gave good pressure, but he gave good pressure when he blitzed this game. Put him back to NB. Rotate with Jimmy Ward and have another corner step up. He was a good blitzer, but you can't blitz him every time.
Yeah.
But he was. Yeah, I think they got to do something different there. Adam Gardner says Brock played good despite what some people are saying. No one is perfect. He still put up 37 points. Yeah. Plus, Kittle had an end zone drop, and Jennings had a drop right in front of the end zone. Kittle had an end zone drop. That almost looked like a pick to me, but I feel you. Kurt says he's a new member. Thanks, Briss and Lavish D, the best from Sac. Oh, Lavish D for sure. Briss, that's who I was. Briss passed away. Briss got killed, but Mac J was the guy who made music with Briss. He was the guy who like made the Mac J's great, and Lavish D too. Lavish D, good name too. Lavish. I love rap names. You gotta have a good name if you're a rapper. Some that's like have their like their whole name. I'm like, dude, it's gotta be more panache than that. Thank you for being a member. Flavor Reborn. See, that's a good name. Flavor Reborn Restorations. That's a name. X-rated. See, now we're getting, there you go. Okay, moving on. Is it time to be concerned about the Niners defense? I mean, we're talking about the number one defense in the league, supposedly. Gives up 34 points and damn near 500 total yards to a 6-10 team, playing a quarterback in his fourth year, making his first career start. To me, if you put it like that, it is cause for concern. What do you see?
It is a concern. I tweeted last night that, I'm happy to see the win, but I do have concerns for the playoffs. The 49ers in the playoffs, especially in the late rounds, maybe not first round, but in the later rounds, they're going to face offenses that are, just as talented or close to as talented, if not or more talented than the Raiders. But the problem is they're going to see defenses that are better than the Raiders. So if our defense, 49ers defense, is allowing teams to put up 34 points, and then they're asking Brock Purdy in the offense to put up 37 points against teams with stacked defenses, that could be a problem. And that's my concern for the postseason. And what's weird about it is my concern was always the defensive backs, and obviously they played bad last night, but I don't think the linebackers were especially great, and the defensive line didn't get any sacks, didn't apply any pressure. Mm-hmm. So it was,
and the run defense wasn't great.
The run defense was like Josh Jacobs. He's a stud, but yeah, he was doing what he wanted against the 49ers. So the whole defense in general last night didn't play well, and I'm not sure what the reason is for that, but they're definitely going to have to step up. You can't ask Brock Purdy to put up 37 points against the Bills or the Chiefs or Philly or anybody like that. So
I have a theory about the defense. I think it's just overrated. It's not. I don't think it's the best defense in the league, even though it statistically is. I think what we've seen, it's a team the Niners haven't faced many offenses this year that have multiple weapons that are playoff caliber. The Raiders have 3, maybe 4. Waller, Jacobs, Adams, and you could maybe throw in Renfro, but definitely 3.
Yeah.
How many teams that the Niners faced this year had 3 guys that you were really worried about?
Well, they had the second easiest schedule of any team in the NFL all year.
Not the Dolphins. They had Tyreek, and that was it. Jalen Waddle was hurt. Not the Chargers. They had their wide receivers hurt. Not the Rams. They had Cooper Kupp, and that's it. The Seahawks have their 2 wide receivers and their running back. That's okay. Really, the Niners haven't faced teams like this yet. And if there's one guy the Niners have to worry about, they can shut him down. But if there's 3, all of a sudden you get bad matchups left and right, and D'Amico's like, I can't call man-to-man coverage because I can't help him. And all of a sudden, it's all about their front 7. And if the pass rush isn't getting home, then the defense looks bad. So it looked bad against the Raiders. It looked bad against the Chiefs. What's going to happen if they make it to the Super Bowl and they face Cincinnati or Buffalo or Kansas? Or what happens if they face Minnesota at home? Like, that's a team that has TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook, a lot like the Raiders. Can the Niners handle a team with 3 premier weapons? Not yesterday. So I don't know. That's concerning to me.
And they go deep. The Vikings, they throw a card. Say what you want about the quarterback, but he throws deep. So
yeah.
That's
and the book is out on the Niners defense. You go deep at Diamondor Lenore as many freaking times a game as you can, especially if you're losing late in the fourth quarter. Yep.
Yeah, and it's been talked about for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Even nationally, I've seen a few people here and there saying that. And I've been saying it. You've been saying it. And yesterday we saw what happens when you do. And I think the first 4 passes I think the first drive they had over 4 passes over 20 yards against the 49ers. So I think the book is out on them, and they're going to have to adjust. I don't know what they need to do. Maybe back off a little bit. They got to teach Huff not to jump these short routes. Even Charvarius Ward gave an interview last week talking about, the D-line is so good at applying pressure to the quarterback that we can just jump on these short routes. And
Exactly.
So they got used to it. And
exactly.
It showed up as a problem.
So what happens is if either the pass rush isn't getting home or it's rushing so wildly that it's creating scramble lanes for Jarrett Stidham to extend plays. Now, the Niners defense has shown to have a major Achilles heel, and that Achilles heel is called coverage. It's a pretty big thing, but what the Niners are built to do is rush the quarterback and tackle. They think our pass rush is so good, our run defense is so good, teams are just going to pee down their legs, throw quick screens and check downs, and we're going to rally and make the tackle. They were right. That's what teams did all year. But now teams are finally realizing that that's just suicide against the 49ers. We got to at least make an effort to go down the field and test their coverage, because Gibson, Hufanga, Lenore, 3 guys that are not great in man-to-man coverage. And if you can get after, Waller ate their lunch. Adams ate their lunch. And in the playoffs, there's going to be guys that good. So to me, yes, it's time to be concerned about the Niners defense. It has a major Achilles heel in a way that I don't even know that the offense does. The offense Achilles heel used to be Jimmy, the quarterback. And that's a huge Achilles heel for a team to have. But now, it's the offensive line. But McGlinchey was great yesterday. So I don't know.
Yeah, especially if you're bootlegging away from Bosa, you're taking them completely out and you're buying time for your receivers. I think that's the key for teams facing the 49ers. And you saw that yesterday with Stidham. He did a really good job at buying time outside the pocket and making plays.
So look, there is cause for concern with the defense, but let me end this topic in a positive way. The Niners still won. They gave up 34 points and won, which is huge, because I don't think you're really going to win a Super Bowl in 2023 with defense. All the rules are set up for the offense, and eventually you're going to face a team with a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame coach and Hall of Fame wide receivers, and you just can't do it. And so that's what happened in the Super Bowl 3 years ago. They had that great defense, everything was looking great, and then boom, it fell apart, and the offense couldn't score enough, and you lost by 11, and you gave up 31 points. Now it feels like the Niners can win that game. If they get into a shootout with Kansas City like they did freaking 2 months ago, they can win that game now. They couldn't with Jimmy. But now they can't, and they don't need their defense to carry them to a Super Bowl. They can win with offense, and that's, to me, gives you a better chance to win the freaking Super Bowl.
Yeah, the offense is actually looks right now very dynamic, looks better.
Yeah.
It looks like less of a weakness against than the defense does right now, which is weird to say because the defense is ranked number 1.
Right. But the defense has an Achilles heel coverage, and on the offense, frankly, doesn't have an Achilles heel right now.
I can't think of many or any, honestly. The only thing I will say, though, is we see what happens with the 49ers offense when they play top-notch defenses. Mm-hmm. That's maybe the only thing that concerns me a little bit. The Raiders defense is actually really bad. So, they're like 22nd or 24th at everything. So they're not really, they're not really good.
That's true.
So we're going to have to see. But, they have all the weapons, and Brock Purdy's looked amazing. I don't see – and Kyle Shanahan, honestly, hats off to Kyle Shanahan. I think he's really in his bag right now. Kyle Shanahan, to me, the last couple of weeks has looked good.
I'm going to nitpick on that one. I love Kyle, though. I want to give him his props, but I do want to talk about the offense because it's getting optimized. It is an optimization mode, and I love it, but I think we can take it even further. This offense has serious potential, and it's reaching it. Dustin Dagg says Josh Rosen, Mac Jones, so-called pro-ready. Yeah, I feel you on that, but it's like, in retrospect, why were they pro-ready? Because they were pocket-style quarterbacks, but they were not experienced. I went to UCLA. I watched the Josh Rosen 3 years at UCLA and didn't have a ton of experience, didn't have great numbers. Mac Jones started for a year and a quarter. Brock Purdy was a 4-year starter. That's what I'm saying. Like, this whole lots of playing time, I think that's going to be valued more. Not just your style of play. Because the NFL is not it's really not a developmental league. There's less and less practice time every year. I think they have 14 padded practices in the regular season. It's hard.
It's crazy.
Really hard.
That's crazy, yeah.
Joshua White says, Happy New Year, Grant. Happy New Year, Joshua. Did you have fun partying on the strip with the I really didn't party in Vegas. I'm 34 years old. I went with my wife. We went to sleep early. We went out. It was the first time I was awake when the ball dropped in years. And we walked straight back to our hotel after that and went to sleep. I was asleep by 1 in the morning. I was proud of it, too. I was rested for that game. I was more rested than the Niners were. New Year, can I just say something? New Year is it's a silly holiday. What are we celebrating?
calendar.
The calendar?
Yeah.
What happened? And people celebrate New Year too like they just won the World Cup. People are like, yes! Yes! Like, what did we do?
Right.
We're alive! I still don't understand it, man.
Certain
People make
page on
bad
calendar.
decisions.
Yeah, you can wake up every day and start fresh. Be a new year every day. Yeah.
New baby, new day, baby. I don't understand why people get so excited about New Year.
Yeah,
Ramon Clark says I was shocked right guard missed the kick. Who what? Oh, right. Oh, Robbie Gold, not right guard. After he was practicing kicking over two short and Raiders cheerleaders' heads during halftime. Was he? Glock Purdy's the man, Jimmy Who. No, man, the Raiders have this like special upstairs stage. They didn't do the halftime show from the field, which I thought was a mistake. I couldn't really see it. They're far away. Flavor Reborn Restoration says Kittle's stolen TD was a dime. The interception to 85 last night, Purdy's feet weren't set. He will learn and adapt due to smart hungry. Yeah, and I'm cool with a quarterback making mistakes if he makes lots of plays. They offset. Sean says only got to face 3 defenses en route to the Super Bowl. Who do you foresee stopping this offense that they will most likely see?
Philly's defense is good.
Buffalo's too. Those two have
Buffalo
good defenses.
Yeah. And even the Chiefs isn't bad either. It's actually a decent.
This was the Raiders Super Bowl, says Drunken Ninja. They played better than I've seen all year. Purdy getting some adversity under his belt was a good thing. Okay. They were eliminated, though. And they've done this. All their games are one-score games, and they've given up 10-point leads 5 times. So this is kind of who the Raiders are. But I feel you, Drunken Ninja. Week 17, D'Amico still no answer to a mobile quarterback, says Sam. Yeah, man, and it goes back to the
Year 5. Year 5.
It goes back to solid too, man. It's a Shanahan thing. Two starting cornerbacks go down. This is what you live with. Yeah, man, it was going to catch up to him eventually. And I just think the fact that it hadn't caught up to him yet shows that they really haven't faced high-powered offenses that were healthy. Tommy Boy PDX Gamer says, would Jimmy have won against the Raiders? No. And again, going back to the freaking Dolphins game. The Dolphins were 8-3 at that time. If you remember, there were a lot of open receivers down the field. Tua missed the throws. They were missing their left tackle and their right tackle. He was freaked out. Mm-hmm. But that's where you saw it. You saw it in the Kansas City game, but you saw it in the Miami game. You're thinking, man, if there were at least 5 explosives that he missed, at least 5. And now,
you saw the Tampa Bay game.
Yep, absolutely.
Brady just, for whatever reason, his passes were short in that game.
Yep.
But Brady had opportunities too that he didn't capitalize on.
And so teams watch the tape and they're like, all right, well, we got to take these shots because they're there. Mm-hmm. Gary Fountain says, so when we played New Orleans in 2019, our defense didn't stop them one play. We will be fine. And Jacobs had 69 yards on 17 carries. Guys pushing it. Okay. So are we trying to are we going revisionist history that the defense played well last night? Is that what we're saying? The run defense was good. That's what you're saying? Is that wow? That's a whole different level of Monday morning analysis. I didn't think it was good. DeAndre, thank you. I mean, not to totally disagree with you on that. Okay. Here's my question for you. Has the 49ers offense become too Christian McCaffrey centric? He's a great player, and I understand why Kyle Shanahan has the urge to give him the ball all the time. But in this last game, the Niners had 62 snaps on offense. 28 of them went to McCaffrey in terms of touches. That's 19 of 27 runs, 6 catches on 9 targets. In comparison, Juwan Jennings, 2 catches. Kittle, 4 catches. Ray, 1 catch. Ayuk, 9. Do you think... I don't know. What do you think of that, man? What do you think of McCaffrey just dominating the touches?
I don't think it's. I don't ever think it's a good thing to do the same thing over and over and over again. But I will say the first half and the second half looked different to me. Mm-hmm. Kyle Shanahan really spread it around. I think 6 people had rushes yesterday for
the second half.
Danny
Gray in the second half. All of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ray, Danny Gray.
Yep.
We got CDP.
Jordan Mason. Yep.
Yeah. And then now you got Debo and Elijah Mitchell coming back,
which we'll talk about.
So he definitely would benefit from spreading things around. And not only that, it's also preserving the health of Christian McCaffrey. I think that's another concern, another reason why you don't want to. Now, obviously, CMC's been effective this year. He's been one of the main reasons the 49ers have had so much success over the last several weeks. But I think it's always good to mix it up. And it was nice. Actually, I saw Kyle Juszczyk get some touches last night. He got 2 runs, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, I think Kyle Shanahan needs to mix it up. see the way we saw it the second half yesterday. I would like to see that more often versus the first half yesterday.
What's interesting about McCaffrey to me is he's great, but at the same time, he almost brings out Kyle Shanahan's conservative nature. Like Kyle Shanahan, we've talked about it. He's a micromanager, and when the pressure's on, he wants to be in control. He doesn't want to let go and trust his players. So when you put 50% of your offense, when you make 50% of your offense go through McCaffrey, to me, what that is him being conservative. Every play has to be a handoff or extended handoff. I don't trust my quarterback. And to me, that's the Jimmy offense. That is the Jimmy offense. A bunch of short stuff. And to me, it shortchanges the offense. McCaffrey does this thing, but you're not scoring as many points as you should. You're not taking advantage of the entire array of talents that you have. And in the second half, what we saw is all of a sudden you get Ayuk involved in a couple plays for Ray and Juwan, and the defense is on its heels. And now McCaffrey's even better. The offense is even better. You want balance. I don't like the whole extra McCaffrey focus. He's great, but so is Ayuk. Ayuk's freaking great. And then you got guys like Ray who deserves more touches. Juwan who deserves more touches. I think the more there's a healthy balance that gets established early in the game, dude, the better this offense is going to be. This is an offense that can be scoring 40 points. Really.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, in my opinion, maybe people don't agree, but this offense isn't much different. I mean, the throws that Brock Purdy is making in general are very similar to Jimmy's. It's just Brock is smarter, more aware, more calm in the pocket, and way more mobile, able to avoid sacks. Jimmy plays last night. He's probably getting sacked at least 2 or 3 times last night. So, this offense is very similar. It's the short passes. I mean, even the game-winning drive or the last 2 drives that Brock Purdy had, where he got a lot of his yards, came after run after catch, right? Yards after catch. So, I mean, I think it shows you what it could have been with Jimmy had he'd be more mobile and smarter and more composed. But it gives me reason. The reason why I'm talking about all this, it gives me reason to think that there's reason for having interest in what maybe Lance could bring to the table.
Yeah, I just feel like this offense has the potential to be really, really special. I mean, they're scoring 35 points a game in their sleep right now, and I feel like they still haven't optimized the full talent array. And this is an offense that has the potential to be as special as any offense. I mean, and I think back of great offenses through history. The Rams, the greatest show on turf. They weren't great because they just gave the ball to Marshall Faulk every time. It was on any given play, it could go to him, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. And frankly, the Niners, they have a running back who's kind of similar to Marshall Faulk. I've been comparing Brandon Ayuk to Torrey Holt for a while. They don't have Isaac Bruce, but they got a lot of other good players too. It seems like as long as they keep defenses on their heels and spread the ball around, they could be unstoppable. Again, in the Niners in the 80s, it wasn't just throw the ball to Jerry Rice every play. It was, is it going to Rice, Taylor, Craig, Brent Jones? Tom Rathman? I don't freaking know. And that's what the Niners can do. It's what they did in the second half. When their offense was taken off in the fourth quarter, it was Ayuk. And I'm not saying McCaffrey didn't have an impact. I think once you establish him, teams are so afraid of him that it makes everyone else better. That screen at Ray, it was all set up by a fake pitch to McCaffrey. So use that.
And I think it's also a challenge, I guess, if I have to defend Kyle here a little bit, with so much talent, there's only one football. Like there's so many guys that you could say, hey, this guy needs more touches, but then it's taken away from the other guy. And there's with Elijah Mitchell coming back, you have Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, CMC. Those are 3 really good running backs. And then you got Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Ray McLeod. Then you got George Kittle. You got Juice Check. Even young Danny Gray. I mean, it's hard to get everybody.
Let me just say something. I'm not trying to attack Kyle because you said you had to defend. Kyle's doing a great job, and he did it in this game. So I want to give him credit. He did it. All I would say is, as quality control, Kyle, my advice would be just do it a little earlier. Go. You don't have to wait until the third quarter. Do it in the first quarter, and that's what Bill Walsh really created the script to do, to get all of his players involved early, and that was a big emphasis of his. It's so something to think about. He did it. Just do it earlier.
The dynamic offense is always a good thing.
Once you've established Ayuk, McCaffrey, Kittle in the first half, the other team is screwed. If they feel like you don't have confidence in one of those guys that day, all of a sudden it gets easier for them. So, the name of the game for Kyle is just establishing all his weapons early. As soon as he does that, the Niners are in greatest show on grass mode. Mm-hmm. Glock Purdy rap name. Glock Dirty.
Glock Dirty.
Glock Dirty. I still like Purdman Jr. though. Christian Magana says, why was Demo on DA in single coverage? Why isn't Ward traveling the other team's best receiver all the time? Maybe they will in the playoffs.
I think he did it last week, right? More than he did this week for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know.
Good question. Just saying they didn't call holding till the fourth quarter. I don't like the ref critique stuff. I just don't want to go there. It's not for me. To me, that's fan big stuff because I'm sure Raider fans have stuff that they're upset about, and I don't really want to hear their complaints either. So
when I was a coach, I used to tell my team, you got to overcome it anyways. Can't control the refs.
Yeah, both teams get bad calls. I mean, do we really think the refs before the game, they were like, look, we hate the 49ers and we love the Raiders, so we're going to collude to give the Raiders – like, I don't think so. Is officiating good in the NFL? No. Do they miss calls every game? Absolutely. Should there be full-time refs? Yes. But do I want to waste a minute? Well, I already wasted 30 seconds talking about refs. Sorry, Niners faithful. Love you, dude. DeAndre Brown, thanks again. Josh Wyatt, remember when they got CMC, we called it expensive Debo insurance. Debo and Eli are injured. What else is Kyle going to do? That's not a fair indictment. I didn't indict Kyle. What I said was what he did in the second half, do it in the first half. That's the only thing. The great thing that he did, do it earlier. Yeah. Because that's what Walsh would do. I mean, and that's probably what Mike Shanahan would do too. So more of that. More of that is what I would say. Yeah. Not an people get upset when you criticize a head coach on a 9-game winning streak. I get it. Yeah. Matthew Sanders says, I'm struggling to see, and I didn't criticize him. I'm struggling to see how we can beat Cincinnati, Buffalo, Kansas City. Those teams seem to want it way worse than us. Getting the Super Bowl Sunday scaries talk me down. Hey man, taking one game at a time. How about that, Matthew? They're not there yet. Injuries happen. You don't know what those teams are going to look like in a month or what the Niners will look like. Ed, QB stats between 13 and 10 are the similar, with 10 having a better TD to INT ratio. Where 13 wins out is the I score in red zone and Grant test. How about the touchdowns?
Yeah, Jinx. Yeah, difference is touchdowns.
Touchdowns.
Points are the most important statistic, right?
Points.
That's how you win games.
Dude, I always felt that Jimmy's overrated because of this. Even going back to his first start, people called him Jimmy Jesus. They beat the Bears. They won 15-13. They scored no touchdowns. And even that 5-game win streak, they didn't score a lot of touchdowns. He's always been the guy who can move the ball down the field, get into the red zone, kick a field goal. That's what he does. And that's why they weren't going to win a Super Bowl with him. Sorry. Got to score a touchdown.
Got to score.
Rick H., do you think it's more likely yesterday was a fluke on D or a warning sign of things to come? I think it's a warning sign of things to come. I think the Niners aren't as talented in the back end as we thought, and there are teams that will give them multiple matchup problems. If they can double team one guy, they're fine. But if there's 3 guys they have to worry about and they got to play straight up, there's bad matchups. And D'Amico knows it.
And it's not just things to come, it's things that have been. Like you saw these openings against Miami, the Chiefs, Washington. They've been there. It's just the Raiders were able to capitalize on.
David Velez says there's a great small Niners film review channel by Josh Putnam. He shows how Kyle Shanahan builds on his play calls from weeks, even years ago, uses teams' film study against him, explains the weird play calls. Well, good to know. Everyone check that out. Edgardo says, do people still think McDaniel was the genius? Not looking so good over there, huh?
They're not looking great. Yeah.
Not looking great. It is his first year as a coach, though.
Yeah, you got to cut him some slack for first year, and we'll see what happens. He has never picked his quarterback. He just built up Tua. So we'll see.
Who'd rather have Tua or Purdy?
Me? Purdy. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. Johns George says, great show, guys. Keep it going. 2 quarterbacks, 2 questions. 1, BP was not great in the first half. Was it more Kyle, too much CMC? 2, has Jimmy ever let a 10-point comeback down in the third quarter? I don't know. But with the thing, I wanted to make this point. Thank you for asking it. What was too much Christian McCaffrey means too much short throws, and you don't need to be a dink and dunk offense with Brock, even though he doesn't have a strong arm. You're a dink and dunk offense with Jimmy, but with Brock, the whole thing is you can go down the field. You can get the ball to Kittle down the field, and Ayuk, and Ray, and Jawan. And so when you stop calling those plays, that's Kyle being a micromanaging conservative coach. And that's a bad habit, a bad tendency. It's a holdover from the Jimmy Garoppolo era. Stop. And I think he figured it out at halftime. He's like, what am I doing? Yeah. But the thing is, the one shot he took down the field was not I didn't like it. Roll left, throw right. I didn't like it. Got to be more aggressive going down the field than that. Can't be that conservative in the playoffs, even though he scored 37.
I think Jimmy's like 10 yards and under quarterback. Brock's kind of like 20, 25 and under. And I think Trey Lance gives you that other level, the next level. Yeah.
How did Kyle not see Purdy as better than Jimmy? To be fair, I didn't see it either. But I'm not a coach. I'm just quality control. Kyle should have seen it. And I feel like Kyle did see it, but he lost his nerve at the very end. That's what I think. I think Kyle saw it.
Well, it'd be hard.
Because you could see it.
It'd be hard for him to do that.
It would be hard.
From a political standpoint.
Probably. But just the way he called plays for Jimmy all season, the way he called plays for Brock, all of a sudden, when Brock came in, they're going down the field. That, to me, indicates that Kyle understood the difference in skill sets. But he just, I don't know, went with the less controversial decision. It would have been controversial to go with Brock Purdy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Debo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell are coming back. They might play Week 18. If not, they'll definitely, most likely be there Week 1 of the playoffs. This has the potential to be, this is an offense that's already dominating without these guys. Now it's just up to Kyle Shanahan to spread the ball around. But if he does, how do these two guys affect the offense?
The rich get richer, right? It's just crazy the 49ers have the most offensive weapons in the NFL. It's not even close, in my opinion. Getting Debo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell back is nuts. Jordan Mason is undervalued. So now you're going to have 3 running backs that are really, really good with CMC, Elijah Mitchell, and Jordan Mason. To me, Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason are your running backs. Those are your running backs, right? So I'm hoping that he uses those guys, mixes them up between the tackles, and he uses CMC more, maybe not as often, but more like he did yesterday. To me, CMC is kind of like – basically like a slot receiver almost is really what his strength is. He's an outlet. But I think Elijah Mitchell coming
Great
back.
Decoy too, man. People are so freaked out by him. All you just got to do is fake a pitch to him and the guy's wide open over here.
Yep. Yeah. So I think Elijah Mitchell coming back should lower the amount of touches CMC gets. It's probably going to eliminate some of the which I don't like, but I think it's going to reduce those Ray runs that we're seeing, unfortunately, because I think Ray is pretty damn good at it, because I think Debo is going to be getting a couple of those specifically in the postseason.
That sucks because Ray's been more effective than Debo this year.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's going to take away targets from Kittle and Ayuk in the passing game, which I think is going to be a mistake also because I think those guys are better receivers than Debo. So it's going to be
I'm a little bit concerned about the return to Debo because he's not had a good year. He's coming off an injury, and when he's been out there, the Niners have forced the ball to him to sort of justify their investment, and I think it's been to the detriment of the offense because his efficiency hasn't been great as a wide receiver. Everyone else has been doing better than him, so I'm curious to see how much target share he gets. Curious.
In the beginning, when Brock Purdy started playing quarterback, his number one target was Debo Samuel. And since Debo Samuel went down, he's been better. The offense has been better. I hate to say that, but it's just the facts. If you look at the statistics, Debo just doesn't have the greatest hands. He's an elite weapon, but he's just not the greatest receiver, honestly, at least this year. And even last year, he led this. I think this year at one point before he went down, he led the league in drops. Last year, he did the same thing. So his strength is not really catching the ball. As weird as that sounds for a receiver making that amount of money. So I'm hoping that, they don't go overboard with the target.
He drops 10% of his targets historically through his career. That's a lot. And last year, when he was targeted, he was so good. The quarterback rating targeting him was 106.2. Good things happen when you throw to Debo. This year, 91 targets. That's a sizable load. 73.1 rating when targeted. It's not working. It's not working. So he's coming back. Great. You know, he's a decoy. You can use him in a lot of ways, but don't overuse him until good things start happening.
Yeah, don't overdo it. I know 49er fans get sensitive about this one because everyone loves Debo, and I like him too. I think he's an elite weapon, but there's just certain ways that you need to use him, and it's not traditional wide receiver routes.
Yeah. Is Jack Rabbit really a downgrade over to Lenore? I don't know. Jack Rabbit gave up that 50-yard catch like last week, so I don't know.
Yeah. See.
Spread the ball around is the new term for Kyle. Okay. Hayden Berry, the TNT Slayer. Zay Faithful says, do you start everyone this week with a potential chance to get the first with the Eagles' loss?
Yeah.
You do? Bye week's a big deal.
Yeah. And DeBall said I think DeBall said in a press conference he is going to be starting.
Oh. There you go.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to, but he did say, yeah, we're going after. We're playing everybody. We're not resting anyone.
Good.
Yeah.
Bobo says, do you think part of the offense is because Kyle wants to play the time of possession game? Defense might need to stay off the field a little. See, that's funny to me. Like, maybe I was thinking Kyle needs to reorient his thinking. For 5 years, he's been like a ball control, time of possession offense. No, dude, you have a high flying, high scoring offense, and your defense has an Achilles heel. Put up points. Mm-hmm. Don't take your foot off the gas. Put up points. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Sam says Raiders made sure they weren't part of Bosa's 49ers sack-breaking record. Didn't even let him record a single tackle. Did they figure him out?
I think they game planned well against the 49ers pass rush. They got stood him outside the pocket quite a bit. You know, most of his passes didn't come from inside the pocket. There were a handful, but not many.
They didn't figure out Bosa on the last play of the game, though.
Yeah, he and the clutch.
Got him. Sam says Raiders made sure. Oh, got you. Ethan says, Grant, check out Larry. I know Larry June. What do I look like? What do you take me for? Modern rapper with old school vibes. You'd love his music. Also, Brock should be Rookie of the Year. I don't know a ton of Larry June's music, but I'm a big P-Lo fan. And P-Lo's big song this summer was Good, featuring Larry June. And I thought both of them did just an outstanding job. Mm-hmm. Just a bang up job. I'm trying to sound as white as possible. Just a phenomenal job those two guys did on that track. Loved them. HipCam35 says, when Jimmy was quarterback, I look forward to watching Debo and our offense play. With Brock, I'm excited to watch every part of our team. Yeah, absolutely. Because with Debo, it's like, watch Debo carry this quarterback. Now it's like, watch these elements come together and form something really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Do you think Glass Half Full guy says, you guys think his contract is it? This contract is it for Debo. I don't know if they can extend him again. I mean, that's going way deep, but yeah.
That's a ways out, but I don't know. Yeah, that's a ways out. It's tough to say.
A ways out, but I can see why you would think it. Yeah. How big of a deal is losing Aaron Banks? We'll find out. Brunskill's pretty good.
Yeah. I think Brunskill's pretty good. Probably could have started somewhere. So I don't think it's too big of a loss, although Aaron Banks has played really, really good this year.
Good call. I did say that, and I felt uncomfortable about it afterwards, so pause. Thank you, Strider Dennis. Pally says, if Kyle spreads the ball around on offense, do you think he can overcome the issues on defense? Yeah, man. I mean, this offense is super talented. I asked Brandon Ayuk this question after the game. I don't know if you saw it. I said, Brandon, how difficult, how good can this offense be when the ball's being spread around to all the playmakers? And he was like, man, I was just having this conversation in a meeting with someone yesterday, like, teams have to spend extra attention on McCaffrey and me and Kittle, and you can't. It's impossible. We are unstoppable when we play the way we should, and that's the truth. So it's really on Kyle. Now you got Debo and Elijah coming back. Now you're 3 deep at running back. You're 4 deep at wide receiver, and you got one of the best tight ends in the league. It's all on Kyle. And a quarterback who's got like a 99 awareness, and he's balling right now. So Kyle, all you got to do is mix it up.
Yeah.
You know? Just don't get fixated on one. Think. Strider Dennis, thanks again. Hayden Berry, the TNT Slayer. Ray is slowly getting more touches. He's the new Debo from last year. And why did it take this long to finally use him, and where's Danny Gray? I'm with you. I think what we're seeing is the Debo plays work better with Ray this year than Debo because Ray's faster this year. I don't know. So
Ray's a kick returner. I mean, you apply those skills to the run game, and it's effective.
And he's like, Debo was the one last year that was making guys on defense take bad angles. Surprisingly fast, right? Not anymore. Ray's the guy. People are like, oh, wow. He just keeps destroying people's pursuit angles, which is always cool to see. I guess we've been talking about this, but before we go, how good do you think this offense can be? What's the upper limit potential for this offense with Brock? I guess this year.
We're just talking about the weapons. I think Kyle Shanahan, honestly, he's really hitting his stride right now. So, I mean, they can be as good as any offense in the NFL. I mean, the only question offensively, and even though I think he's playing phenomenal, is Brock Purdy's still young, man. We got, 4 or 5 games with him. Who knows how he's going to look in the postseason if he can continue, but there's no real reason to doubt him. But other than that, I mean, the 49ers have everything they need. They got the best weapons. Their offensive line, although we've criticized them at times, and especially Mike McGlinchey, they look pretty decent too. And Kyle Shanahan's in his bag, so they can be elite. They can be elite, better than the defense, actually.
I think so too. I don't see. To me, this is an offense that was underperforming for half a decade, and there were a lot of questions. Is it Kyle's fault? Yes, it was a lot of people. But now that Jimmy's gone and there's an upgrade, it was so clearly mostly about the quarterback.
Yeah.
And Kyle takes responsibility. He could have had Mahomes, he could have had Brady, and but he finally found a quarterback that's good, that he trusts, that operates his system, and the offense, it looks like it did in Atlanta. All of a sudden, it looks like as good as any offense in the league, and I think that should be the goal. This is an offense that should be scoring 30-plus points every game. This is not a ball control complementary offense. This is a kick-ass offense. Yeah. This is an offense that can do anything. You want to stop the run? We're going down the field. You want to play back? We're running down your throat. I think that's what's really cool about them. And they shouldn't sell themselves short. They shouldn't say we're just going with Christian this week, or we're just going with Ayuk this week, or we just need 24 points this week. Like, nah, man, kick-ass.
Yeah.
Kick-ass.
Yeah, I think they're elite. I mean, you brought up Patrick Mahomes and just started thinking about what this offense would look like with Patrick Mahomes. That's dynasty level right there. But yeah, no, I think that they can pretty much do everything. No reason to doubt this offense right now. I'm actually more concerned about. I said this is probably the third week I've said it now, that I'm more concerned now about the defense than I am the offense for the postseason.
I am concerned a little bit about with the offense. If it does have an Achilles heel now, it's the offensive line. And McGlinchey did a great job yesterday against Max Crosby. But that's the only guy they have on their defensive line. There's going to be teams the Niners face like Philly who go 4, 5, 6 deep on the defensive line, and they're big, strong guys. We've seen what Chris Jones in Kansas City. Big, strong defensive linemen can push around the Niners' offensive line at times. So the Raiders couldn't do that. If the Niners have an Achilles heel on offense, that's what it is. In the future, they need to get better on the offensive line because they're freaking stacked everywhere else on offense, and they could be better on the offensive line. But anyway, I think the offense does have the ability to be better than Dallas's, better than Philly's. I mean, the best in the NFC this year. I think it has that potential.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts has another factor to him.
He does.
Which kind of separates him. But I think the 49ers
But he's hurt.
The best weapons, and he's hurt. So we'll see.
Shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Strider Dennis says, Grant, 2 thoughts. If you ever got a rap career going, name should be Lil G, Big Brant. Still think we can win the Super Bowl, but with all these injuries, going to take more luck than usual. I'm a big rap fan, but I've never actually rapped. I never really felt like I would be good or that it was really for me. Like, I feel like you got to, I don't know. Like, I went to private high school. I went to Bishop O'Dowd. Now, so did Bobby Brackens. Bobby Brackens was in my grade, and he's a famous rapper who was a ghostwriter for Tinashe and hella people. But I always felt like, like G-Eazy, like, dude, who are you and where are you from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sorry.
That's why I stopped when I started having kids and I grew up a little bit. I'm like, this ain't for me. I was like probably 23 when I stopped. I'm 43 now, so I haven't rapped in 20-something years. But
I still can't believe this. Beat a Weeda.
Yeah.
What is his most famous song?
Mackin'
and Mobbin'. Mackin' and Mobbin'. Mackin' and Mobbin'. Mackin' and Mobbin's a great song.
He's got his own store now in East Oakland, sells clothing and stuff like that. He's got his own weed brand. He's got all kinds of things. Yeah. Gotta
love an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he's
although no one can really match E40 on entrepreneurship. He sells everything. What does E40 not sell?
He sells everything. I think that's everything. Brandon or Beta Weeda, that's where he kind of learned it from. Yeah.
Yeah. And who's the original guy that did that? Maybe E40. Master P, though. Master P sells everything.
Master P learned from E40. There's an interview with Master P when he came out to Richmond. He learned the game from E40. He has an interview talking about it, and then he applied it and blew it up. Yeah,
I can see it. Yep. Because Richmond was a strategic location, not that he chose it, but right between Oakland and Vallejo. So you had that cross-pollination between the two big rap spots in the Bay. Stunna 2 times says people forget that this is a real Bay Area rivalry game. LOL. I was expecting a good game. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I like that stadium. It's cooler. It's a better stadium than SoFi. It's on the Strip. SoFi's in Inglewood. No offense to Inglewood, but like, it's if you're vacationing in LA, you're not staying by LAX. You're gonna go somewhere else. So it's like kind of out of the way, and it's huge. SoFi's way too big. There's a lake. Why do you need a lake? A lake for what? Can I swim in it? Grant, Playboy Cardi, any West Coast rapper ever? I mean, I'm 34 years old. I don't lissn to rappers that sound like Playboy Cardi.
Playboy Cardi.
I don't listen to rappers who are like kind of sing-songy, auto-tuning into.
Yeah.
I'm not into it. Just not into it. That's it though. That's the show. Thanks for watching. It's a great time to cover the 49ers, to be a Niner fan, or just to watch the team. One more game until we're at the playoffs. I really wish the playoffs started next week. But, hey, guess we get to watch the Cardinals one more time. That's going to be fun. Cliff Kingsbury's going to have his guys ready to go.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Grant, one time, I'm almost at 2K. I need like a handful of you guys go sub to the channel because that was my goal to get to 2K. And I started a few months ago, and I'm almost there. So go sub to my channel if you don't mind.
That's right. Ryan Hensley. Check out his YouTube channel. If you don't subscribe to it right now. He does great work. And what not just that, he's consistent. He's streaming like damn near every day, which is a must for a successful YouTube channel. So it's not just every morning with guests that are phenomenal. He does a great job.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right. See you guys. I'm not too young for the click.
Right.